No. Hey there, Teufel. Soundless for half an hour because I'm on a bus. Oh no. Oh. Um. Will it be independent of Zine the same way that Zig and Super HTML are? Good question. Now, I think in this case, this is not going to be it. I think that in this case, we're working on a slightly different version of Markdown that is designed to only work with Zine. This is the starting point. I don't know going forward, but this is where we start. Now the question is, will this be like a new file format? Will it have a new file extension? Not today, but it definitely needs to, because it's the only way we can get syntax highlighting in like in editors and stuff for Ziggy, etc. Maybe, you know what? We call it the Zine file format. We do .zine. Like Astro can do .astro. Why couldn't we do .zine? Like go 100, go all in, like all in. Okay, so you know what? I'm not even gonna do a particularly long-winded stream start. Maybe here's what I'm gonna do. There's another immediate to do that we can try tackling now, which is gonna be something that we also need for the Zig website. So maybe we can do this. So this is gonna be think of it as a bit of a stream warm up. I'm gonna tackle this partially, not even 100%. But just to see, just to show you one thing that we can now do with Zine that we couldn't before. So better scripted reference docs. Again, as I said, this is gonna be. You know what? We should time box this. We should time box this half an hour. You know what? 20 minutes maybe. Time boxed 20 minutes. and then we switch to reinventing Markdown. So here's the overview. Right now, when we generate build when we generate docs for Scripty, we have a program that does a little bit of introspection into Scripty types, and then it prints out a Markdown file. The problem with doing this is that it's, I don't know, like just not my preferred way of doing things, I guess. So what I would like instead, I don't know, because it's kind of like, it's not that bad of an idea, but it's also kind of not that good of an idea. So what I was thinking instead is to turn this into, we generate a Ziggy file or a JSON file, and then we read this data. We access this data from a layout, and we have the layout instead do all these things. What would the advantage be? Well, the advantage would be that docgen, which currently is like concatenating a bunch of strings in a, I don't know, not too nice of a way. Like, how can I say? Everything is very hard coded. So like, it's not even particularly good at like allowing me to have like a sidebar menu or searchability, for example. The idea is that if we make a JSON file or something along those lines, then we can also have front-end search, where the search, not only we use the JSON file to build the page in a template, but we also bundle the JSON file itself so that a JavaScript front-end thingy can read it and use it to search. Technically, the front-end thing could also search and read the page itself. But it's probably simpler to implement this stuff off of data. Sure, there's going to be some redundancy, but again, the reference docs are going to be not that big, so that's not going to be an issue. So here's let's time box this a little bit, and yeah, let's see how far we can get in 20 minutes, and then we switch. So let's start the time box. Okay, let's go. Who knew that you could also do these things in this fashion, huh? So new tab, write in source exis. Let's call it doc gen1.zig. We don't have time, so let's not get too philosophical about this. Okay, doctrine 1. What do we want to do in here? We don't want to write this. We don't want to write. We want to generate data. So so what we want is, well, actually, what should our data shape be? We need a type that defines this stuff. Let's see. Let's give it a type so that we can like then ziggy it up. Const reference is a struct. What's in this struct? Probably globals. I don't know globals. What globals should be? Maybe another struct. Do we write down the globals explicitly? Probably not a bad idea. So $site. What's $site though? Maybe globals should be a map. Oh, and we know what these things should be. They are like signatures, and I guess the description is like documentation, maybe fields, and then built in, or like the type itself, maybe. The problem is that these things are not descriptions. Okay, what were we doing here after the initial boilerplate? Yeah, look, we had globals. What do you know? So they're like in a list. They have a name type, and a description grabbed from their thing. We kind of want this, basically. And you know what? We can do better, right? Because we can give, we can make this thing abstract. So name becomes the field name. And then they contain, we can call it like a type definition. So like const type, or call it scripty type. Type ref. Let's call it type ref. Type ref struct name constituent description constituent. Okay, this is on a single line somehow. So perfect. So site is a type ref. And I guess you can decide how manual or automated you want to be about this. But like for global stuff, this seems reasonable. So these are our global thing is, there's more, but like, let's start with this. And then in reality, everything else that you can do is from inside these things. So like these guys should have like fields, which should be a list of a field ref. And they should have built-ins. Actually, these things, should they be maps? Yeah, because we want to make these things automated. You know what? Maybe globals should also be a list. Yeah, let's make this a list. Okay. So, reference is a list, starts with a list of globals. Each global has a name, a description, fields, and built-ins. What are fields and built-ins? I guess we can nest these things maybe a little bit. So, pub const field ref. We can make also these things pub. So a field ref contains a name, the name of the field, and then a description, although we don't have a description for these guys. So for now, let's leave it at name. We're going to add more, though. Built-ins are more interesting because we already document them more. Global should be a map of names to types since the fields are a property of the type. The problem is that I'm preparing a type where these things are already turned into. Think of it this way. I'm doing something that is already the equivalent of type info. So I want these things in data form already. So built-in ref, so has a name, has a signature, and we have data. We have that stuff. It's context.signature. Yeah, params and rep. Then it has documentation, and then it has examples. And I think this is how our stuff was structured up until now. now we need also to do this, I think. Maybe optional we can do. How do we do? Yeah, let's do it optional. Okay, so now what we do is that we initialize top level things. Oh, what about built-ins? Yeah. Primitive types. So let's call them primitive. So primitives are, I guess, a list of const primitive ref. What's a primitive reference? So a primitive reference has, I guess, does it have exactly a name? It's not exactly a name, right? But whatever. Let's say that it's a name. And then what does it have? It has built-ins. Built-in ref. Oh, but built-in ref is inside type ref. So built-in ref needs to be like upgraded. You know what? Maybe all this ref stuff needs to be dropped. We call this primitive. We call this built-in. We call this type. And guess what? We move these guys inside of here. Yeah, flat. Not bad. Primitive type and then built-in. Field ref. We rename to field. And it can say inside type, since it's specific to only type. Okay, as things are, actually, this is not bad at all. And I think that's all of Scripty. So the idea is that we initialize this. So we seed this data with primitives and globals. And then I think we need to have a loop that does introspection on the globals that we pass in to figure out what the built-ins are, collect this information, and list it there. And everything else should fall in line automatically, I think. So by the way, this is just a good idea. Even if we decide for some reason to maintain the write to markdown approach, this is still just a good idea, man, no matter what. So it's freaking awesome. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna nuke everything because we can always we can always find this stuff from whatever we need. We can grab it from the original version of DocJet that we still have around. So buff writer for the output file. Yes, we need to do that. That's for sure. Okay. Give me fatal and that's fine. Okay. But before writing anything, let's do the thing. So var reference. Okay, let's start reference with globals and primitives. And by the way, we can give empty values as a starting point for these guys. So like every time there's a list of something, we can say that by default, these guys need to be set, but then everything else can be empty as a starting point. So built-ins is going to be empty. Type fields are also going to be empty. Built-ins is also going to be empty. And then we fill out these things as we go. Okay. So globals. And then primitives. Globals is going to be, as we said, Actually, can we really steal it from the other side? Will it work? Value.builtins for. Oh, we can even do value.builtins for. That's going to be handy for us. So name site. Why did I give it this name? Site page alternative. Why did I not give it... wait, what? I mean, site is the name of the type, but it's missing the name of the field. So how do we do this? Like type name for globals. It's not just a list of types, but it also needs a like they're like fields. Oh my god. I'm realizing that actually globals are fields. And then they have a reference of their own. Well, no, they have a type. They have a name, and then they have a type. Yeah. So globals are actually fields. So let's move maybe primitive down. Although, what? Wait. The field can be a primitive as well. God damn it. So I guess it's like primitive or type. So maybe this should be a union. Because the same is actually true for every field, right? Every field can be either a primitive or a type. You know what? Maybe here's what we should do. This is called type. And this is either primitive or struct. Oh no, struct is not a good term that we can put in here. Well, we can do this, I guess. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Okay, so this means that name is not site. Name is $site. Do we write down the type in there as well? How do we write this stuff down in template? Oh, they don't have $signs. Okay, but we know what to do. That's not a problem. Okay, so we have site. What's the difference between primitive and types? It's just that the way you access information about them is different in the metaprogramming. For other types, you cannot have descriptions attached to primitive types, for example. So if I use the same type for both of them, then I will try to treat them as structs, but they're not structs. Only custom types are structs. So it's just a distinction for metaprogramming purposes. Well, I mean, it's also a distinction maybe that makes sense for the user, but the main point is metaprogramming for me. Okay, so it's a field. As we were saying, so a field has a name and a type. Type. In the case of site is a struct. Do I fill it out even though? What if I left it unset and try to fill it out later? No, that's fine. We need to define what it is, right? What we could write down is the tag, though. Instead of the type, we could write down the tag. No. Okay. Let's go do this. Oh, maybe I didn't need to do this. Okay, so one is site. What is its type? So we need name, description, fields, built-in is optional. And you know what? Maybe we should have a metaprogramming thing because I know where to get this type now. I know where to get this type. Actually, even the globals could be done through metaprogramming. Okay, I think we're at the end of our scripty refdoc time box. So we're gonna stop here. But the idea is that let's leave description, blah blah blah, everything else aside. Optional. It's false. We can leave it as that. Okay, that's fine. So what we can do instead of this is I haven't implemented it yet, but the idea is I can do something like ref 4 and then do, well, it would be lowercase, so ref 4 or just ref of context.template. Actually, this entire thing could be ref for template. Pretty much. Syntax question, maybe after time box. Okay. So I think I just need now some, oh, ref is already used as a symbol, but I think now all I need is some metaprogramming to kick this thing off. And I'm also starting to think that maybe reference shouldn't have globals as a list of fields, but should have globals as a like global context. I think instead of globals, we need like CTX as the or like, yeah, global context. And global context is, or just, yeah, CTX is fine. And the global context is a struct. And basically, yeah, the global context is a struct. Name and description doesn't matter much because users don't see this. But then it has fields, although it doesn't have built-ins. You know what? I take this back. As things work right now with Scripty, it has to be a list of fields because there are no built-ins. So never mind. Yeah. Okay. So this is where I will continue, and this is gonna actually allow me to make scripty docs be actually good. So end of time box. And then we move to reinventing Markdown. So syntax question, maybe after time box, rather than struct const self this, blah, 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 has struct pipe self being considered? This drops a compiler built-in, remains optional, and is consistent with other constructs on Zig where control flow introduces new tokens. Thoughts? I'm not sure if you can categorize a struct definition as control flow, though. But you know what? I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's an interesting concept. Honestly, I wouldn't hate it. I like it. Okay. So give me a moment then, and we can start. So we can leave this. I guess we can leave this unfinished, and that's fine. And we move instead to Markdown render. Oh man, the things that we're gonna do to the Markdown render. So give me half a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the idea. There is a endless amount of alternatives to Markdown. Everybody hates Markdown. Everybody wants to make their own Markdown. And, but this time is going to be good. That's what they say. And I was looking at some of this stuff like yesterday in the last few days. There's this one that I find kind of funny. It's called Mist. And let's see. They have like a secret overview page that I have no freaking idea how to get to. It's insane. I know its URL because I landed there through search, like Google search. But I have no clue where they put that. It's like, it's mind-blowing. I swear to God, this is mind-blowing. Okay, so well, you know what? No, this is not it, is it? Let's see. I want to show you this thing because I genuinely think it's interesting. It's in the overview of the spec. Where the heck did they put the spec? Also, now I'm curious about their front matter. Oh, it's always fucking YAML, man. They do all this work to improve things, and then guess what? Still YAML, no matter what. Where is the spec? Specification overview. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm going to try to use Zine as a note keeping system, kind of like Obsidian.md. The layout content separation is really nice. I think I can do it. Maybe a bit of a stretch though. I personally really enjoy Obsidian. I really, really like it. So I don't know. If you were to me, if you were to ask me personally, that's what I would what I would use, what I would recommend. But I mean, you do you. If you think that if you have reasons to render your notes in a particular way, why not? That said, Obsidian is designed for that use case, so like don't discount it. I think it's a really good tool. Okay, so 1 second. Let me take a look at YouTube chat. So everything is fine here. Yeah. So what I wanted to show everybody is this concept. So everybody keeps like they added like curly braced extra notation to Markdown to implement this concept, like nested things. Which is interesting. And they use the number of backticks to to define like nesting. The more backticks, the more nesting there is. Although the nesting is like the most amount of nesting is on the outside, not the inside. That's also an interesting choice. It basically means that if you want to nest one more thing, then you have to update the nesting of everything else. Because right? I decided I want to nest something in here. Let's assume that you need at least 3 backticks. I'm not sure if that's the case. It probably is. But let's say that it starts at minimum 3. Then if I want to nest something more, I need to update the outer layer, the outermost layer, then the inner layer, and then I can add my own thing. Kind of weird. The thing about Obsidian is that I end up having like 20 plugins. Oh no. Yeah, okay, so that sounds like a problem, yes. So they do this directive options. So they have this concept of a directive name and then arg1, arg2. Okay, they have this. Also, I think that GitHub has some new extensions, right? GitHub Flavored Markdown always had some extra things, but now they have even more, I believe. Let's see. Quoting text, quoting code, supported color models. Where do you specify colors? Oh, they get recognized. Like colors in backticks show up as dots. That's kind of cute. Links. Section links. Oh, you can link directly to the section. And yeah, of course, this works in Markdown. But this is like also... they don't tell you how they generate anchors, so that sucks. Like fragments, relative links, images, lists, tasks lists, mentioning people and teams, referencing issues and pull requests, external resources, colon emoji code colon, external resources. If custom auto-link references are configured for a repository, their reference to external resources like a Jira issue or a Zendesk ticket convert into shortened links. Okay. Paragraphs. Footnotes. Alerts. They also have introduced this. Another extension. Hiding content with comments. Ignoring markdown formatting. Disabling markdown rendering. Further reading. Okay. So they also have their own random stuff. I feel like the most important thing is this one. Like this is the biggest addition to everything. Like you open a block quote, and if it's like square brackets with a bang thing in there, then it's like, yeah, it becomes one of these things. That's awesome. And that works for GitHub. As long as, note, tip, important, warning, and caution is all you need, then you're good. But what if you need something else? Well, then you're fucked. This is not really necessarily a criticism of GitHub, because I do think that for GitHub, it makes total sense to have a limited vocabulary for expressing concepts, so that same limited vocabulary can be reused consistently across different repositories. This is a good idea. I am not sold, though, on the idea that you have this syntax that is like, this syntax is just designed for these things. I guess you could take it and run with it and say, well, now there's this system, and so now we know how to, like, you can have different names for these things. I guess that works. Also, how much markdown do you have inside block quotes? Actually, is this a block quote? Yeah, this is a standard block quote. Like, can you have bold? Can you have lists inside of this? These are, I feel like, very interesting questions that we need to ask. In any case, so here's after this tour, here's what I want to do. I want to introduce one. Maybe I don't know if one is going to be enough, but I just want to introduce one mechanic to Markdown that will have basically way more flexibility than all these custom things do. Just one mechanic. Again, I'm not saying that this is like the ultimate design. We'll need to experiment with it. Maybe some more custom syntax will be necessary. You know what? Maybe we should adopt this ourselves. I think it's not even that hard, because if you look at the GFM, at CMark GFM, so not my fork. My fork is obviously outdated. It also comes from Matt Knight's fork, which in turn comes from GitHub's fork, which is a fork of the official CMark in turn. Okay, great. But as extensions, well, let's see. Do they have like stuff like alerts? Core extensions.c. They have autolink. There's a bunch of exe scanners, which is interesting. They have strike through. They have table, tag filter, task list. Hello, Kyle Butts. Gardening of Working Paths vibes. Why? I've seen this thing recently. I already forgot what it is. Fork of a fork. Oh, yeah. Table, 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 table. Wait, are you telling me that their alert stuff is not even in here? No, I don't believe this. Show me releases. Dude, where? Wait a second. Where are all? Wait, where are all the other releases? Callouts? What do you mean with callouts? Are you saying that it was in there and I missed it? Now, this looks like all other stuff to me. So, does this mean that they CMark GFM merge pull request from last year? Oh. Expose footnote def literal. So these guys are not just implementing things as extensions, they also tweaking the core parser. Man, what a fucking mess. Okay. Maybe it's implemented only in the CSS. I don't know. That seems weird. Like, it seems weird that they have a fork of, they have their GitHub flavored markdown fork of CMark. I don't see why they wouldn't implement it in here. But you know what? It might be, that might be it. I don't know. It seems weird. Okay. Well, whatever it is, let's do our own thing. So here's what I want to do. What the main goal is going to be this. Main goal is going to be that I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to maybe we can use Zine SSG as our test bench. Okay, here's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to say that the layout. You know what? Let me implement this change so you can see what I mean. So I want to be able to have this work basically. So this is all standard Markdown syntax for now, and this is all going to get parsed correctly by the already existing Markdown parser. But instead of putting a link, this is syntax for a link. We do something different. We put a scripty expression in here, and in the scripty expression, we define that this thing needs to be something else. So we do something like md.section. And md.section defines that this should be maybe this should be what is Zine. And so the idea is that this does not render to a link. This will render, basically this scripty will decide what this thing renders into. That's the idea. That's exactly the core idea. So what I want to be able to do then is to say that if you do this on the title, on a title element, then you're kind of collecting this as a separate section that then can be rendered on demand. That's kind of the idea. So, so there are two aspects to this. One is that we need to start running scripty into Markdown files. The second is that $MD doesn't exist in layouts. So we need a different scripty context, like a different global namespace with different semantics. Everything is going to be different in Markdown scripty. And then we need to be able to do, well, what I mentioned. So here's what I'm going to do for now. Okay, let's simplify this. I think that the full implementation of section is going to be a little bit complicated, but the simpler version of this is that I want this to simply to evaluate to making this have a what is Zine ID. So right now, as a starting sub goal, is basically we want to render this not as a link, so we're not going to link it, but we are going to give it a anchor, and maybe we can put the tiny chain thing next to it. That's the idea. So let's see if we can do this. And by the way, you might say, wait, why are you going through this weird, complicated process? Why don't you just render heading links for everybody everywhere? And the answer is, well, you might not want them. Like a user of this system might not want me to introduce paragraph links every fucking where. Most people probably would be fine with it, but not everybody. So giving the user the ability to opt into these things is very important. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's give this thing an anchor. Sorry, I guess an ID. No, it's not an anchor. It doesn't need to be an anchor. It just needs to have an ID specified by us. Or like test. Or whatever. Let's use whatever. So, how do we make this happen? Step number 1, we need a scripty context in Markdown. So we need a new scripty VM. So we have context and all these types, but now all of this is like layout context, except maybe docgen. So I think that I need to move all these types into like context/layouts, maybe. Or maybe we can make one Markdown context for now. And like in one Markdown file and call it a day. Again, for now. Source, context. So you see there's all these guys. Then outside there's context, blah, blah, blah. Let's call it just Markdown. And then we'll decide. Okay. Time to make... But here's the thing. Previously, we were only making a super VM. So previously, we were making a super HTML virtual machine, which required us to pass down a context for scripty. Now we are running scripty ourselves. Or rather, we're running scripty ourselves, I guess, at least until we decide that the Markdown renderer should be a component in its own. And then it's going to be like, I don't know, a fucking Markdown VM or something. I don't think so, but... so const scripty okay, we import scripty, probably a good idea. Then we have to define what the context is. So pop const let's call it Markdown. Okay. What are our globals? Our globals are going to be, we said, just MD. You know what? Maybe I don't know, maybe the global should be like markup, not just markdown. It should be like content. And then MD is what you can use inside of Markdown. Let's call it content. For now. Let's see where that leads us. Okay, so what's MD? Okay, what can you do on Markdown? Markdown should have as little logic as possible if you want to keep a separation of content from layout. Well, it's not exactly that it shouldn't have logic. And by the way, for now, I don't plan to make it have any logic. So it's not going to have branches or loops. Absolute zero of that. What it has is the ability to express rich types of content, right? Markdown, like vanilla Markdown, allows you to express links, images with a bang. You need a video. Good fucking luck. You need to plop in your own HTML, right? By the way, once we make this bad boy change, we turn off fucking inline HTML. It's like we're gonna murder inline HTML. Mark my words. Section names and breaks. Section names, types of content also. Also the ability to just generally tag an element so that you can add classes and give an ID and give classes to an element. And then what those classes are is basically entirely up to you, the user. But you'll see. What are you going to do about tables? Will you also fix those? What is wrong about tables in Markdown now? I'm genuine question. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I just don't know. It seems like you're referring to a specific problem that I'm not currently. I can't think of any right now. So Markdown, we said, needs to have section, which is a built-in. So let's go steal some built-ins from, I don't know, one of the other guys. Oh, you also need to give it descriptions and dots. We need to define also what values are in our case. Oh, this is going to be hilarious, by the way, because this scripty instance is going to be so different than the other one. Example, you can't have table headers on the side. They're always the first row. Oh, ooh, Jesus. Okay, I have no idea how to make that better. I would have to think about it. I don't have a quick solution to that. Okay, our build team, we said it's section. The signature, so I guess we can get signature from DocGen. Actually, it's a union. Okay, default dot. So section takes in a string. Okay, the description is to be used inside of. Oh, well, let's say what it does first. Defines, well, give gives an ID. For now, that's all it does. It should do more, but like it gives an ID to a section title. Examples. My title. Probably here examples need to be more complicated because we should show what the syntax looks like and what it ends up rendering as, maybe. Although some things are just metadata that you can expect on your own, on the other, like on the layout side. But let's take things one step at a time. So it just gives an ID to section title. It's an error to use it in other locations. Okay, markdown, allocator. Oh shit. I think we can call this guy void and we should be good. So bad arg expected one argument. By the way, guess what? So with this stunt, we have already created strings. I'm thinking that we might only need strings for now. Nah, we probably are gonna need more than strings, but well, for now, strings, it's gonna be. So we have the concept of a string. Then we need to have markdown. This guy doesn't have anything interesting. Let's look at page. Okay, what do we return? What do we return? We want to return a data type that says that we want to return a data type that it's kind of like a directive to the markdown renderer that says, yes, this is the kind of thing that you need to render. So we need to create that concept. So I would say we even put it above content. Const. Maybe we should put it at the end. You know what? Maybe putting it at the end is not a bad idea. Pub const. So should we call it like a rendering directive, an element, content, media? I don't know what to call it. Yes, yet, but this is what it is basically. has an ID, which can be optional. And then it's a union. Kind. So, for example, kind can be let's see. Could be an image. And an image could have more of its own stuff. So an image could have, I don't know, caption. It could have a title. Maybe, do you give a title to an image? Isn't the caption the same? No, so not a title, maybe alt text. And let's do also actors. So you can give these things basically to everything. And what an ID means, what an attribute means, again, it's not necessarily tied to HTML. Like attributes is just a general like key value thing that for HTML has a well-defined concept. Like attributes here would probably, I don't know, kind of by default go into class. We can decide what to do with this, but like it's not necessarily tied to HTML. So like so the thing can be an image, the thing can be a video. So a video also where's like the source. Right. Well, a video can have a source, a caption maybe, an alt, but then also maybe a loop, sound, for example, autoplay. Again, I'm not sure that if I really want to do all these things yet, but as a first approximation, this seems kind of what makes sense. Then another thing could be an inline element. So an inline element, oh no, is this like a keyword and we're getting fucked? We're getting fucked by inline, huh? And an inline can have, for example, I guess a name. Let me think. Maybe not. Maybe an inline is not all that interesting to give it a name to. You know what? Maybe inline can be like a void. But then there's also like a block. We want to make this a block. And I don't know yet what attribute we want to be able to give to these things. But this is the idea. Also, maybe sound. Then let me think about what else. You know what? Maybe block should have an attribute. Maybe attributes should be given to block. Although you might want to give attributes also to images and stuff. So never mind. Attributes and IDs should be global concepts. I think that's the basic idea. That's the basic idea. So right now, what are we doing with section? I think that the idea with section is that we're saying that what we want to do to that thing is actually just set an ID. And as for kind, we can leave it to inline, maybe. Well, no, technically what we want to define is a block. It's just that we don't have the logic to do that yet. So, okay. So block is kind of what we're going for right now. Also, image could be inline or block. Maybe inline or block should be a boolean here, or like an enum. Maybe it should be kind. And then this should be element. And that element is none. Yeah, let's go with this for now. Okay, so what do we call this thing then? Let's call it a directive. But also the idea is that directives, oh, this is going to be interesting. Directive doesn't have a dot function, so you cannot dot on directive. So we don't need to hide these fields because the idea is that with Scripty, you're never going to be able to navigate inside one of these guys. Like this is the basically the result, the expected result of everything. Also, we need error. And we probably need booleans. You know what? We'll figure out booleans when we need to. Okay, so what do we return from this? I guess. Yeah, well, basically we just return. For now, we just return a directive with ID set. So it's not even a value, right? Well, no, it is a value, but so return. So we return a directive where we say ID is ID. Maybe we can make also these things optional. Just need to specify always kind if it's a block on or an inline. That seems fine to me. Kind is a block. And then the element is none for now. That's kind of the idea. So this is the directive that we're returning. But anyway, you know what? I think that signature, you know what? Let's not do signature for now because this is complicated. We need signature types specific to this new context. Okay, so we have this. We don't have enough for a scripty VM though. We have a few things, not everything. So I guess we can try to wire it in and watch it fail, I guess. So I guess we can just expose content and value and we should be good. And maybe value should be defined inside of content. How do we expose this stuff? We really need better namespacing for these things. We definitely do. Let's put it in here for now, I guess. Not MD. Oh, wait, maybe I just exposed Markdown. Yeah, that works. Okay, so this means that in Markdown renderer, we have context, and so we should be able to spin up a script EVM. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. Technically, the render gets invoked multiple times. Should we define a new script EVM every single time? Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Is string blah blah blah. Depth writer node is image. So here we're looking at the AST and doing things to it. Okay, const VM equals scripty. Well, equals scripty. Maybe we can call it scripty VM. Oh, we don't have scripty in here. Do we have scripty in here as a dependency? We do. Okay, so we're good. Okay, context. What is going to be context.md content. You know what? I think we need to do it like this. Okay, and then we do actually, does this thing have an init function? It does not have an init function because it has default initialization. Perfect. Wait a second. No, where's the allocator? I don't believe you. Oh, you pass it in when you run the script EVM. Right. That makes total sense. Man, who programmed this thing is a fucking genius. Okay, so the idea is can we get this to work? The idea is to get this to compile. Right now, I don't think this is going to compile. Let's see. Value type must specify built-ins for. Yeah. Okay, let's go do that. I guess we can take inspiration from the other implementation of built-ins for. Let's see. comp time tag, type info value, union tag type, question mark. Jesus. Well, in any case, I have the tag. So let's see. If it's a string, then I think there are no built-ins for anybody except Directive has no built-ins. Basic primitive types have no built-ins. Only Markdown has built-ins. So let's see. We grab the type. If it has built-ins, great. Otherwise, we return nothing. I think that's how we do it. And actually, at this point, since we don't need to switch on the tag anymore. No ether element built-ins either. That's nice. Okay, what's the next thing that's missing? Nothing? That seems sus. I think that I am probably not triggering something that I should. I don't know. Something is sus. But I guess we can try to make it work. So we have this. We have the VM. We're looping on things, and we're looking at if node is an image. And so if it's an image, we're running this code, and that's great. What if it's a link? And I think that we do this somewhere. Is this a thing? Oh no, fuck. So we have his image, but we don't have, we have link. Node get type, return t equals verb. CMark node get URL. Let's take a look at what types we have. Yeah, actually, where's its stuff? Tools, no. No, that's other stuff. Wrappers, what? Python, Ruby, Rocket, more Python, extensions, data bench, API test, fuzz. Man, so it has to be in source. It's a header file that probably I missed. So buffer, chunk, extension API, CMark GFM. That's what we wanted. Okay, let's see. These are the type of nodes, right? So what do we have in here? Document, block quote, list, item, code block, HTML block, custom block, paragraph, heading, thematic break, footnote definition, text, soft break, code, HTML inline, custom inline, emphasis, strong link. So we do have a link node type. Are we running a markdown parser? No, we're basically interpreting a markdown AST in creative ways. So we're not touching the markdown parsing logic, which I honestly believe it's um, kind of insanity. What we're doing right now is just being a little bit creative with the resulting AST. So we want this thing. So it's type in line 0 ORed with 009. What is type in line? Type in line is type present with 4000. So 8000, 4000, 09. 8 terawatt hour. Thank you very much for the prime sub. So I think we can do is link. So his link is 8000 present, 4000 in line, but instead of A is 9. Thank you very much, Terawatt. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So with this, we're able to tell that something is a link. Oh, right, same file. So don't you get a different constants from translate C? I don't remember. I don't know if enums work well enough. Probably at some point in time they didn't. Yeah, I actually probably do. Oh well. Okay, so now that we know that node is linked, what do we do with that info? So basically, we kind of would like to decorate somehow, right, the AST. So I guess there are two options. One is, let me see what we're going to do with this stuff otherwise. So we're going to see a heading element. And then we're going to print close. Well, this is exit. This is enter. Why is exit above enter? This kind of trips me up. So we enter heading. We print out the heading level. And we call it a day. That's fine. Then when we find a link element, oh, look, on exit, we always close it as a link. Well, understandably. And then when we open it, we print the link itself or else. Okay, basically what I'm trying to understand is at which point do we inject this logic? And this is where we do the rendering. So when we're doing the rendering, this is like a good point, like a good moment where to do this. But the AST doesn't seem a bad idea. So I guess what AST mutating options do we have? Append an element to the linked list. Return the possibly modified head of the list. I can create a new node. I can free a node. I can iterate nodes. More iteration. User data? Did somebody say user data? So this means that we can annotate the AST, which is great, before rendering, and that can inform the rendering stuff afterwards. Delicious. This is delicious. I mean, to be fair, the kind people who made this parser accounted for our use case, and they were gracious enough to allow us to set user data on nodes. That's great. And guess what our user data is going to be? It's going to be pointers to directives. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. So, it just makes sense. So give me a very brief second. I'll be right back. And then what we're going to do is set the user data on the parent element of our link. So basically we're saying, okay, we find a link. The idea is that a link is not just a link anymore for us. A link, it's a portal to the scripted dimension. And once we enter the scripted dimension, then more nuanced logic comes into play. And what's amazing about this, like if you think about it, what's amazing about this is that for the user, this is just one piece of syntax. It's like, it's just one piece of syntax that you use everywhere in a very declarative fashion. I would even say that the markdown namespacing is useless. I'm coming to the conclusion that there is no point in having something that isn't MD. Probably. Not sure yet, but for now, let's go with this. So give me a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so we find a link. Now the question is this a normal link or is this how do you like the clip? Oh no, what am I missing? User data. Okay, I'll check it out later. So the link is maybe a scripty, maybe not. So by the way, what else can have a link? I think it's images, links. I don't think there's anything else, right? Well, in any case, okay, we have the data. Now the idea is if std dot not so do we force quotes around scripty things? I think we have to. I think there's a problem that if you don't quote this, I think Markdown will wrongly close the parentheses here. Maybe not. You know what? Maybe this could be an opportunity for using scripty without quotes around it. So let's assume there are no quotes for now. Do we do anything after the if? No, we don't. Okay, so we continue. By the way, this should totally turn into a switch. The day we make this code better, like we actually clean it for real and we stop like hacking things together, this should turn into a switch. So okay, so if we got here, then it is a scripty expression, so we need to run it into the VM. So let's run it into the VM. Oh man, now we're gonna need all the logic to grab like lines from Markdown. I guess we can look at this node and okay, yeah, we can do stuff to it. So result is gonna be vm.run. Okay, what happens? We try vm.run, I guess. Though I think we have to catch the bad things. So we give it GPA. What's context? We need to initialize the context, but at the same time, we don't have any context data that we want to care about for now. So this might change in the future, but for now, I think this is good enough. Like %, although this is a mutable pointer, this is not mutable. Do we have fatal in here? No, we don't. Okay. Can I do E and then just print out the error? I think I should be able to do that. Okay, we have the result. We expect the result to be a directive. So switch result.value. Local what? Oh, there's another result thing. Oh, man. By the way, obviously error reporting should be made better, but this is just to get things off the ground. So now what do we do with this directive? I guess the idea is that the directive is a section directive. Oh, you know what? Yeah. So section section. So you know what? I think section should be there's inline and block. But I think the element should be a section. Like here we're just defining a section. Actually, yeah, man, I don't fucking know. This is getting complicated. Let's say that we do want to have a section. Okay, we have the ability to say that the element is a section. So let's set element to section instead of known. I don't know what inline section could be. Maybe it's a bad idea. So as I said, I don't know yet exactly how to model that stuff. But as a starting point, so we can say switch lm and if it's a section, now we do stuff. So now what we want to do is, you know what? We panic with success. Here's what we do. As a starting point, we panic with success, and then we decide what to do later. So let's see what the problem is. Okay, let's see if we can panic with success. What the fuck did they press? Zig build. Give me the summary new. Too much success. Not enough failure. Give me failure. Let's also do prominent. You know what? Let's hardcode prominent compilers right away. Okay. Found optional. Missing start field MD. There you go. Oh, there we go. Okay, here's what we're missing. We're missing from string literal. So I think we need these guys. And these guys probably. Oh, and we also need dot. Okay, let's see. From string literal, yeah. From number literal. What happens if we don't set this? Although I think that we're gonna need to have these things. Do we want booleans? Probably not a bad idea to have booleans. And numbers as well. Like, come on. Okay, you know what? It's reasonable to have these things. Okay, from. None of these exists. What if we don't have from? Like, out of curiosity, do we really need to have this? Field access on a primitive value. I would say, yeah. Otherwise, return dot. I think you can only do dot on MD, basically. Okay, let's see how far we get. Okay, no, we do need from. Cool. I mean, that could have known that, but so strings, bools, numbers, fine. Optional values. No optionals, like fuck optionals. Pointers, those are fine. This stuff doesn't exist. Dynamic value doesn't exist. A list of strings, no. Okay, what we're missing is want to make a value from a what? You know what? I think this should be enough. Let's see. No, we definitely need to do that on. Oh, we need to do dot on content. Right. Actually, wait. The only thing that supports dotting right now is content. Not even Markdown supports dotting. Cannot do call on value. Right. Where's call? Scripty default call. Yeah, that sounds about right. From Markdown content in from. Oh yeah, we're missing content. I don't know why this is manual. This could be automated a lot. There's no dot on content. Right. Access the type pointer to content, found constant pointer to content. Huh. The problem is this: its script is default dot. I think default dot should like accept an extra parameter to decide whether things should be done constant or not. Maybe we could do default const dot. Problem is that that's an improvement from for another day, I guess. I don't want to mess with scripty now. So let's do the pass by ref stuff. Now everybody should be happier. No, it's probably not that. The problem is probably here. Implement value from for a pointer to content. But we define content as better now. Start field content has no built-ins. Yeah. Expected void found pointer to void. Directive has no built-ins. Yeah. There's no markdown field. Invalid format string E and type error blah blah blah. Then what the fuck is E then? Oh man. I guess maybe we can leave it empty. Okay. E scientific notation. I see. Success, success, success. Way too much success. Where's my failures, man? Where are my failures? I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried that there might be some snags in our dream. I'm worried that this thing doesn't parse as I was hoping it would. We might need the outer curly quotes. Let's see. But then this might not succeed. Oh, okay. Did I not save this thing originally or what? We got it. We failed successfully. Holy shit. We failed successfully. Not bad. So now it's time to implement more of the happy path. So, okay, we found that this is a section directive. The next question is this allowed? Is this a section directive placed where it should be? So this is what we need to check. And the answer is, well, we need to look at node. And this is now the time where we look at how good our wrapper was or not. And I bet you that our wrapper sucks ass. This is a CMark node. Start line, start column. Is this, is that. List type. There's the normal iterator. So we don't have any navigation capabilities. So it's time to implement navigation capabilities. No iteration, but we need node next, node previous, node parent. We need node parent. Oh, this is going to be so good. This is going to be so good. So getters, blah, 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 list type. I guess we put this stuff at the end. So this gives us the parent. And now we need to know if it is heading. So 8K, zeros, and 9. Interesting. 8K, zeros, and 9. Okay, so now we made it a little bit smarter. So let's say that I use this without the bang. This should fail, saying that it should be used in a heading. Panic. Section must be used in a heading. Let's say that I use it in a heading, but then there's some text next to it. I believe this is gonna still not work. No, this is gonna succeed. Oh, right, because they're siblings. Oh, that's bad. They're siblings under the heading, so this is a success. So I guess we need to check for that, right? What we want is the heading to only have one child, our thing. We don't want this. I think, actually, you know what? That's debatable, but I think this should not be allowed. Man, it's working. So, okay, we have this. So let's say to do no siblings allowed. Okay, so we don't do success now. What we do next is we decorate node p dot n dot. I guess we need to make a wrapper for this stuff. User data. Set user data. And we want to set as user data, I guess, our directive, a pointer to our directive. The problem is right now our directive is a stack value, so we kind of need to like allocate it. Well, I guess we can have that copy happen automatically, I guess. So set data rest.value. Should it be any type? No, I think we should hard code it. So this is a md dot directive. Again, none of this is very specific to Markdown. Like the point of these directives is for them to not be specific to Markdown. So like that's the core of the idea. So set data directive void, also GPA. Okay, so we heap allocate the data. Returns 1 on success, 0 on failure. Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is set data. Let's do get data. So get user data returns the user data of node. I was going to say, wait, what the fuck? It returns void? No, it's void star, of course. And the star is snuck. It's why is the fucking star snuck against the function name? Man, these goddamn C perverts. Okay. So we try to set the data. And life goes on. And then when we're about to render a heading, when we're about to enter a heading, we ask ourselves some questions. Like, is there anything else that we need to print? I guess we should probably split this into multiple things, huh? So we always do this, at least for now. And then we say, if node.get user get data, and we get a directive, and we do this, else we do that. The else branch just prints the closing thing. Otherwise, let's our code that we print the ID for now. So let's like keep it simple. That's all we do for now. Everything else stays the same. Found context markdown value. Oh. Cannot dereference non-pointer type, error out of memory. Yeah. Compile error, use argument. God damn it. Oh yeah, I need to pass in something, huh? Don't I? Cannot format option without a specifier. ID dot question mark for now. Success. Whatever open A. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so here's the problem. The problem is we're not... Wait, okay, we're not closing the H1, and that's a mistake. And the second problem is that we are not turning off the A as we should, as an A. So, first of all, we need to close this. Fair. So, let's go do that. Okay, so now we gave it an ID to the parent, by the way. So this is success. This is what we wanted. But the second problem is that now this is a link, and that's a side effect because we didn't disarm the link aspect of it. So let's go disarm this as a link. How do you disarm this as a link? I guess it's here, right? As we are looping over the AST, we want to do things to the parent, but then we want also to change the current node. So can you change the current node? How are you supposed to apply these changes? So you can set user data. You can... There we go. Access source. Okay. Get user data. Set user data. Set user data free func. Set the free function for user data. Okay. Get type. Get type string. Get literal. Returns the string content of node or an empty string if none is set. Sets the string contents of node. Returns 1 on success, 0 on failure. Get heading level. Get list type. Set list type. Get list delimiter. Set list delimiter. Start. Tight. Get item index. Returns the item index of node. This is only used when rendering output formats such as comma mark, which need to output the index. Get fence info. Set fence info. Set fence. Sets code blocks fencing details. Get fenced. Get URL. Set URL. Set the URL of a link or image node. Returns 1 on success. Get title. Set title. Node get on enter. Set on enter. Sets the literal text to render on enter for a custom node. Any children of the node will be rendered after this text. Returns 1, because of 0 on failure. Get on exit, set on exit, start line, start column, end line, column. Unlink. Unlinks a node, removing it from the tree, but not freeing its memory. Insert sibling before node. Insert sibling after node. Node replace. I think that's kind of what we want. Replaces old node with new node and unlocks and unlinks old node, but does not free its memory. Prepend, append, consolidate text nodes. Consolidates adjacent text nodes. CMark node owns. Ensures a node and all its children own their own chunk memory. So I think what we want is replace. We want to replace the link node with its children. P.replace. I guess we can have replace with child. This is not parent though. This is our node. We want to replace this node with its child. Wait a second. What if it has more than one child? No, it cannot have more than one child because it's a link node. Okay, so we call first child. Maybe it's fine that it's optional. And then we do c.cmark replace old node n.n new node child. Huh. People screaming outside. We try node replace with child. I guess in the back mode we could assert that there are no other children. Okay. So this should be it actually. We're leaking memory though, so we need to free the current node. How do you free a node? Well, node free. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Okay, we're like getting closer. We're getting closer. There's one tiny problem. The tiny problem is that we need to duplicate the original string because if we don't, we're gonna lose it when we free the original node. I mean, we could keep the node around. To be fair, who cares at that point? You know what? Leaking the node, I think it's good enough, at least for now. There you go. We did it. We have implemented sections. Well, we have implemented a prototypal, like a extremely minimalistic version of what a section is. This, you know, this could, to give an ID to something shouldn't, like, to give an ID to something like this shouldn't require all this logic, right? The point of having the well, how can I say, you don't need to invent the concept of a section just to give an ID to something. You would probably just do maybe md.id or like something along those lines to simplify things. But what I want to do now is basically change the AST so that everything up until so that basically we restructure things to be under this node. Like, I want to structure things hierarchically. I don't know if I'm gonna change the original AST or build another AST. Probably maybe should build another AST. But the idea is that now the starting point is have sections have an ID that allows you to deep link to them. And maybe we could even have another like a second option that says like a Boolean that says, should we allow people to deep link to this or not? Should we generate deep linking stuff or not? But this is the beginning. Deep link is basically, you know, when sometimes sections have like a tiny link icon next to them, and like the icon allows you to copy a link to this thing. And then maybe there's even the inverse, the thing that sends you back to a table of contents. By the way, table of contents. Did someone say table of contents? We don't have support for table of contents. There are some extensions to Markdown to enable table of contents, but we don't want that shit. We want to implement one ourselves. One that is not hard-coded in one style, but one that is data that the layout can use. So this is how we're going to do it. And the concept is sky's the limit with this, because you can put this syntax everywhere you want in Markdown. You don't need special ass syntax to design this, to make these things work. Like, everybody keeps adding syntax on top of syntax. You don't need extra syntax. You only need to understand that what you're trying to do is give extra detail over basic concepts that Markdown is already expressing in a reasonable way. That's just the idea. So that's it. We have the beginnings of a section. We have the beginnings of a section, man. And I'm starting to think that we need to change Scripty to allow people to do this, I think. I'm not even sure MD is... Or you know what? Maybe I should take this back. Maybe MD is not a bad idea. Maybe MD is not a bad idea. And so then we can have like EMG for stuff related to images. This is going to be good, man. This is going to be good. Oh, yeah. So this is how the story begins. I think that I'm going to call it a day, because now, you know, you saw me cut through a ton of error handling to get a successful happy path, right? So designing this thing for real means actually doing a good job at returning errors. Just like the rest of Zine has become decent at. Like, the rest of Zine has become pretty decent at returning errors. Except the Markdown rendering part. The Markdown rendering part is kind of ass in general. But this is finally your let's make image links useful for stuff. Yeah, well, to be precise, this is not image syntax, right? Image syntax would have also a bang here. I'm keeping that around for like retrocompatibility, but the idea is that basically a bang thing. You know how this has super HTML.png? Okay, the idea is that that above is gonna be syntax sugar for this. Ooh, should it be emg.asset like this? We need to design how to call these things. Maybe $page.asset, just like the other one. So we have to decide if we want to keep the same syntax that you use on the other side, but also here in this markdown, you don't have access to the same built-ins that you have on the other side. So it's not like you're going to be able to do data. I'm not going to allow you to do that. So maybe this should be something like $image.page asset, maybe. I don't know. Or image.link. Maybe it should be like this. I have to decide what the syntax should look like. But the core idea is that this is going to be our gateway to implementing everything. Would you recommend me opening an issue for struct self or something else? Note it wouldn't work for file-based structs. Oh, you're right. That is a big downside. It is indeed a big downside. So you wouldn't be able to remove this in the end. So either you wouldn't be able to remove this, or you would have to lose top-level structs. I honestly don't see Andrew being willing to give up top-level structs that easily. So as for opening an issue or not, I don't know. I don't have any recommendation either way, to be honest. I think that your idea is, you know, has a level of soundness to it where it's like, I don't have a reason to immediately discard it because it's flawed, right? It makes sense. As for how successful it is going to be or not, I cannot predict that. It's obviously kind of a bike shady thing, right? It's a minor language change. But that said, I don't know. Maybe it could be appreciated. I have no idea, honestly. So I don't know. Maybe mention it to other people. And if you think it's worth investigating, open an issue for it. It's not gonna be the end of the world if you do. And I don't think anybody's gonna like call you names if you do. So I don't know. You decide. It's only really useful for self-referential structs. Yeah. Okay, so I need to spend some time thinking on how I want to design this thing. By the way, I'm also open to suggestions. So if anybody watching wants to shoot their shot, like try their hand at designing these things, I'm happy to discuss this stuff. You should have used the templating system a little bit, though. Like you kind of need to have some experience with how Scripty works in the templating system. If you want to have good insight, probably. That said, yeah, Zine is the place. Yeah, definitely in Discord. Yeah, in the Zine channel in my Discord server. So, thank you all, and I hope you had a good time. You learned something, and I think I'll see you next time. Let me see if there's anybody that we should raid. Is anybody doing Zig? Any Zig streamerinos? Doesn't seem like that. So let's go. Time to call it a day. Bye all.